Checkbox groups, such as this list of optional extras, allow users to select multiple values or none at all. All checkboxes in the same group share the same name attribute. In this case, I've named the checkbox group Extras. And each checkbox needs a unique value, and it's this value that is transmitted with the form data when the form is submitted. But there's a problem of using a single name for the whole group. If left like this, only the last selected value will be added to the post array. To handle a checkbox group, you need to turn it into an array, and you do that by appending an empty pair of square brackets after the name. So it's extras followed by square brackets. It's also important to note that if no checkbox is selected, the group is not added to the data transmitted with the form. I'm going to begin by assuming you don't mind if all of the checkboxes are left deselected. So let's go up here to the top of the page, and you need to add the name of the group to the expected array so that the mail processing form knows that it's coming. So it will be extras, and you just add the name on its own, not with the square brackets after it. It's purely and simply the name that you're after. I'm not making filling in the checkboxes required, so I'll leave it out of the required array, but because you're adding extras to the expected array, the mail processing script in mailProcess.php expects that element to be included in the post array. But if the user hasn't selected any of the checkboxes, it won't exist. So you need to check for its existence and create an empty array if it's not there. So if not is set post extras, we need to create post extras and make it an empty array. Now let's say the user has selected one or two of the checkboxes and submitted the form, but there are errors elsewhere in the form. You need to show those checkboxes selected when the form is redisplayed. So back down here in the input tags, you need to add a conditional statement which will add the checked attribute to any checkbox that has been selected. Let's put some space in there and add a PHP block. And what we want to do is to find out if post has any values. That means the form has been selected. And we need to look for this value in the extras array. So that first value was sunroof. And if it is, we echo checked. The extras array is created by the mail processing script in mailProcess.php, which goes through each element in the post array and creates a new variable named after the element's key. So post extras becomes simply extras. We need the same conditional statement in each of the checkboxes, so let's just copy that and then insert before the angle bracket there. Paste it and change the value of sunroof to the value we're looking for, which will be aircon. And then in the last checkbox, the value that we're looking for is automatic. Right, let's save that and see how it works in the browser. So if I select sunroof and automatic transmission and then submit the form without filling in any other fields, there will be errors, so these should be reselected. and in fact they are. But let's say you want to require the user to select a minimum number of checkboxes. Well, the way to handle that is to count the number of checkboxes that have been selected, and if it's not enough, to display an error message. So let's deal with that. Go back into the page here where the form is, and at the top here, just after this conditional statement that you created to create an empty array, then create a variable that stores the minimum number that you want to be selected. So I'll call that minimum checked, and I'll set the value at 2. And then I need a conditional statement which will use the count function, which tells you the number of elements in an array. So count, and we need to look for post extras. And if it's less than minimum checked, I need to create an element in the errors array and set it to true. So I'll make it errors extras equals true. So we just need to add an error message, and we'll put it inside the legend here. So we need to add a PHP block, and put a conditional statement in there. If is set errors extras, and then we'll add a span in there, set its class to warning, and then please select at least, and then we need another PHP block to echo that minimum, a minimum checked, and then close the span, and then just finally add that closing curly brace for the conditional statement. So let's save and test that. So I'll deselect those two and then submit the form, and it tells me please select at least 2, and if I select 2, the error message goes away, but the checkboxes remain selected. So that's how you handle a checkbox group.